another Friday, and we're back again with another episode of Conversations with Amma. How have you been? I hope you've had a fruitful and eventful week. My week has been so and so. I think I mentioned earlier last week that I was having a bit of anxiety. So as usual, I need to figure out what's going on and just try to help the healing process better. So this led me to triggers and glimmers. So this is what we're going to talk about: triggers and glimmers. Now, triggers and glimmers are both involuntary reactions caused by things which cause our brain for the triggers to either fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. It's one of those things. We'll either run away, flee, fight, freeze, or fawn, just hold on to the first. And then for the glimmers, they are things which brings us peace and calmness into our soul. Now, the thing underlying word is involuntary. You don't need to do anything to have both of these things happen. It could be anything you've seen or heard or read. It could just be different, right? So this week for me has been a lot difficult for me mentally, emotionally, and even physically. I realized that I had flashbacks, I had nightmares, and I needed to just stop and figure out what was going on, So it was causing the anxiety, leading to the flashbacks and ruminating thoughts, because it happens. You just ruminate over something that occurred, and you kind of absorb it, and it becomes, it's involuntary. It's not even as if you're deliberately looking out to do those things. So yes, that's what happens. Now, just like getting an itch because you are reacting to an irritant or a food allergy, or catching coronavirus because you've been exposed to the virus, right? Or having hunger pangs because your body needs nourishment. Now, that's how these triggers work. Now, that's the same way PTSD happens after someone has experienced a one-time traumatic event, or traumatic events that they have to deal with back to back and on a daily basis. They'll be able to go through life and do the things that they need to do and push through, but these triggers affect them daily in the choices that they make, even things people will say or not say, do or not do, and all kinds of things. Now, we've touched on PSTD in our previous episodes. Now, whilst things like the news, movies, colors, smells, spaces, and noises can directly trigger a survivor of domestic abuse, they can also be completely unrelated and random things that will affect the victim. Anything random at all could affect the victim. It could be a car crash, it could be noise, it could be anything. You can't even tell what exactly it is, but when you know that you're being triggered, you can figure out and breathe and ask yourself questions that will keep you grounded, because a panic attack can set in, right? Now, a couple of events in the last few weeks caused me triggers, and I was teary, I was not sleeping much. Like I said, I had nightmares and flashbacks, the ruminating top. If I wasn't asleep, I was ruminating, So when these triggers happen, something as mundane as an invitation to even step out causes me anxiety. A text or a phone call causes me anxiety. That's not because I don't want to step out, but incidents which have happened during outings will be triggered by my brain, and I would feel all the emotions coming back. I didn't even realize it was happening till I decided to read a bit more about what triggers me, right? Now, even if it's taken me years to even realize that, figure it out that I was being triggered. Sometimes from events from my childhood, or with friends, or even through a conversation, I didn't realize I was being triggered. So I will be triggered, and then I will just kind of feel all the anxiety, feel all the stress, and I will be wondering what's going on. I mean, I haven't been in a stressful environment, but I feel it. That's also because the brain and the mind remembers, and the body. So they are going into involuntary flight or freeze mode when they sense the danger, which has been triggered involuntarily by an event or a noise or something, right? Initially, I didn't know how to deal about it because I didn't even recognize or understand those triggers. So texts and calls from people, I mean, sometimes they can trigger me. Sometimes I can look at my phone ring and not pick it, not because I don't have anything to say, but I am weary, I'm tired, I'm overwhelmed. Either the person calling, reminds me of a memory that I don't want to deal with, or I associate them with something or a space that I don't want to be in, or places that haven't held any spaces for me, right? So even if I pick, you realize that I will be curt or straight to the point, because I just want to leave that space. It's involuntary. It's not, I don't sit down to deliberately plan it. It just happens. So my mind is just telling me, you need to self-preserve. You need to stay away from this space. This space is not helping you, right? And so in order for me to disassociate those things and actually have conversations, the person probably calling me would not even be calling because they are trying to speak to me about that particular issue, but my mind associates it with them. So then the trigger is off and the alarm is sounding whoo in my ear, and all I'm trying to do is to self-preserve, basically. I know if, as I say it, people who are going through abuse or survivors will understand what I mean. Now, even sometimes questions they always trigger me, because I realized that eventually it was because my abuser will ask questions to left foot me, and my answer was always wrong, right? Any answer that I gave was always wrong. It will come with more questions or another left foot me, and then you find yourself that you're just being manipulated into a position of a power play where they can perpetrate more abuse, because they need to establish that you've done something wrong, and then they need to correct you, and you deserve to be punished for it, right? So this always puts me on edge when someone asks me a question. It might just be a simple question as, oh, how are you? Once my mind recognizes it as a question, it goes into freeze or flight mode. It's just what it is, and sometimes sensory overload. I love music. I could listen to music all the time, but I also realized that I didn't like loud noises. Sometimes I'd rather walk in a house with no TV, no music, no nothing, no shout, just stillness. Maybe because it represented peace to me, because there was no cackling in my ear, there was nothing, So I am now learning to analyze my triggers by asking why, what, who, when, and where. Why am I being triggered? What is triggering it? Who is it reminding me of? Where am I now? How do I even where am I? What can I do to help make these emotions better? This anxiety that I'm feeling, why is my mind telling me to be in freeze or flight mode or fright mode? So what can calm me down and then self-preservation kicks in. So I ask all these questions because I need to be aware of my triggers and understand how to work my way through it. Do you understand what I'm saying? It could be a simple question as someone saying, oh, would you like to go out for lunch, even in a space where I have felt triggered, and immediately my mind goes into flight mode because that place reminds me of an incident. So then no, I don't want to deal with it, right? So when I understand my triggers, it helps me to work out my thought process better, so I can give appropriate responses to these, other human interactions that I need to have, So sometimes you do not even realize that it's a trigger because you can't place it, especially if it's as a result of a sensory overload or an unrelated trigger to the traumatic event that you've had to deal with, either from your childhood, in adulthood, a one-time event, a recurring event, or anything of the sort. Or even sometimes people who are helping people go through traumatic events also get triggered because if they are empathetic, they feel, depending on the kind of empath that they feel the other victim's pain. You get what I'm saying? So they also get their fair share of trauma and dealing with it. So it's good to know what your triggers are, understand how you can work your way through them. And the good thing about triggers is that they help you to identify what you need to work on with regards to healing. Now, that's not to say that you would never be triggered ever again when you feel like you are in a good space and you've dealt with all the healing. Triggers are involuntary. They could happen without you even pressing any button. Now, the thing about healing is that it helps you to recognize, identify, and are able to, kind of dissociate and ask questions that help you, bring you to a space where you are able to realize that, okay, this is why this is affecting me this way. This is why this is how it's affecting me. Okay, let me feel it now. Now let it go. Breathe, meditate, do whatever you need to do to let go of those triggers so that you can actually be better. You would be better equipped with tools and techniques to help you deal with it. It's just what you need. Now, glimmers, which are involuntary, also give you a sense of peace. They give you a sense of peace and calmness. Now, what are the relationships for your triggers? How do they affect your mind, body, and soul? You have to ask those questions so you'll be able to separate them, understand them, and deal with it. Now, glimmers are an act of, for me, I think, reparenting, because, like I keep on saying, sometimes trauma is from situations that we've grown up with or dealt with, especially for victims of domestic abuse, because it's generational. For those who are empathetic or they've not had any kind of domestic abuse in their home, sometimes it's choices or how they are raised and how they accept people. So you need to go back to look at those things, that why you don't have any boundaries or why you allow certain things to happen, not because it was intentional, but just because you had accepted certain things as a norm. All right. So I feel like glimmers are an act of reparenting, and they help you to find your path and then understand the kind of things that bring you peace and calm. So for me, having flowers and plants around me is a glimmer for me. Stuffed animals are glimmers for me. Taking dope shots on my camera, they just give me peace and some calmness. Self-care is one of the things that I love to do. Traveling, I'm an adventurer. I love to travel. So some of these are glimmers for me, which bring me into a space of calmness. I'm learning how to, put all these together so I can actually harness them better. I also, as I discover something that is interesting to me, that puts a smile on my face, I note it down in my journal, because then it's easy for me so that I, kind of intentionally put myself in those spaces so I'll have a lot more glimmers than triggers, right? Now, take your time to identify your glimmers, because we rush through life so much that we do not stop to, kind of feel or see what brings us warmth and joy and peace and a sense of calm, so don't rush through life. So, and take your time so you identify your glimmers. Remember, you are safe and you are in a good space. Whatever was triggering you or causing the abuse is no longer there. The trauma is no longer there. So heal yourself so you can heal generations after you. I mean, that's what I believe, So remember to use positive affirmations daily. I mean, speak those words to your soul. Speak those words to your mind. Speak those words to your body. Absorb them and, kind of breathe it so it becomes a part of you subliminally. Now, remember to also daily breathe, mindful breathing and exercises and meditation. I meditate on Bible verses, and it's been my strongest sense of peace. It's helped me a lot. Now, it helps in managing the fright, freeze or fawn responses that is triggered, by your brain. So just meditate. Now, the body keeps score, and so does the mind. So heal your mind through your body. Do your exercises. I have recently taken on Pilates and a bit of yoga, stretching and trying to challenge my body. Some days I just don't want to move my body at all. I am not in that space emotionally and mentally. Some days I do amazingly well, but what I want to have happen is to be consistent and not just power through, because it's not something that I'm looking to stop. So I'm going to apply consistency and I'm going to breathe through it and live. Now, the body keeps score, like I said, so just do it. Now, trauma can shut your expression down. So you don't want to express yourself. You don't want to say anything because you don't know how it's going to be twisted. You also don't want to have conversations with people who just want to hear a story, but it doesn't do anything in terms of support or anything. So after some time, no, you know what? This is not for everyone. I'm not going to hold space for people who just want to come and hear what you have to say. So you don't even say anything to anyone at all. But I believe that channeling the pain into a creative tool like an art, like a book, like a podcast, can be a life-changing experience. Now, I mean, listen, I am finding out so many things because I am educating myself, I am healing, and I'm trying to help others, and I am putting the information out there. I am responsible for someone's healing. Every time that someone reaches out to me, I have a sense of gratitude because I feel like, wow, you must think I have something of value to give if you're reaching out to me. And it's not in single figures, it's in the tens, 20, and I'm like, wow, I was setting out to help only one person if I could, but right now I'm finding myself building a whole community, and I am so grateful for everyone who presses play, who reaches out to me, even those of you who refer people to me by just listening to the podcast and saying, hey, can you help my friend? Hey, can you speak to my friend? I always say, Lord, thank you. And I thank you guys, because what it does for me is to help me push to make myself better, because I feel like someone needs me, someone needs my strength. And the only way I can do that is to heal and be better. So I went on tangent, right? But I mean, it can be a life-changing experience. And like I always say, ask for help. Ask for help. What did I say? Ask for help. Listen, you can't do this on your own. A therapist will unlock the door to your healing. Do not bottle up the emotions or sit on it. Do not just talk about it without seeking therapy. Therapy helps you to deal with the root causes and so that you can make better choices for yourself. Do not underestimate it. Ask for help, because telling your story to someone isn't therapy. The choices and the decisions that you've made and the subconscious things that are influencing how you make or even choose. That's why one person will move from one abusive partner to the next abusive partner to the next abusive, because they are not healing the root of the pain. So please ask for help. Pray. Work on yourself. Do the shadow work. And live, evolve, and bloom, because you can. You are worthy. As always, this has been Amma, MFA, Tinkerbell, Mommy, whichever one you call me. Thank you for listening, for sharing, for pressing play, and for always giving me feedback. I truly appreciate and value all of you. Until next week, God bless and take care of yourself.